You are listening to I Am Interchange.
I am Interchange.
I am Interchange.
I am Interchange.
Fostering curiosity, education, and empathy by exploring the controversial and the provocative.
I am Interchange.
This episode wouldn't be possible without the Bozeman Makerspace, Hightail Bus, and Blunderbuss.
Purchasing a home has always been an exalted and expected rite of passage into adulthood. The realization of the American dream, buyer's freedom from the rent trap, pride in ownership, and investment in future are timeless selling points still touted by realtors marketing homes like snake oil. But the dream has become an arguable impossibility for much of the population and a nightmare for many more. As countless Americans continue to spend more and more of their incomes on nicely appointed boxes, pushing through 60-hour work weeks and struggling with the chronic diseases that seem inextricably tied to them. A surprising alternative to homeownership is emerging with great momentum. Roam homing, a modern spin on a nomadic lifestyle, provides for inexpensive shelter alternatives, while supporting travel, unique experiences, freedom, and its proponents argue a wondrous life beyond the 9-to-5 grind. This episode is supported by Blunderbuss, an artist, activist, and entrepreneur's makerspace in Bozeman, Montana, and is the creative home for I Am Interchange. I'm Tate Chamberlin, and in this podcast, we caught up with some Rome homers to explore the practicality and romanticism, the planning and spontaneity, the infinity adaptable concept of defining home is where you park it. Well, welcome you all. Hi.
Hi.
Can we take a minute, I'll be your timer, and just recap on why you roam home?
August Trilbert, born and raised here in Bozeman, and I roam home, I guess, because it didn't seem feasible to be able to buy a house in Bozeman these days, and we can buy a bus. So we bought a bus and made it home, and you know, if anything ever changes in life, we can always pick up and drive where we want to go. And kind of the beauty of it is that we're not tied down anywhere, but, you know, this is my roots, and, you know, hopefully it doesn't get too changed from what it is. And, well, if it does, we'll find somewhere else new, and that's the beauty of it, is just adapt. That's the importance of roam home, is you adapt to life.
Home is where you park it. Thanks, August.
My name is Brian Bauer, and I started roam homing as a matter of practicality because I wanted to move to California for a little while. And, you know, like spend $20,000 a year on rent, or I could spend $20,000 on a van and I'd own the thing and be able to travel. And so it was a pretty easy decision. And then I started building it, and it took 3 months, and I had to quit my job to finish it. So it was also a lot of work and more expensive than I planned. But now I'm just hooked on the lifestyle. It's so easy to just go out on the weekend, go anywhere you want without having to plan anything. You're done with work, you can go.
My name is Joe Sheehan, and I currently don't yet roam home, but we're a work in progress. Flo here, my fiance, and I are residents of Blunderbuss here, and it's a really cool opportunity for us to get into this lifestyle, working out here. I want to do it personally, I think, because I have an attraction to traveling. I want to do it while I'm young. I don't want to wait to put off retirement or something like that until I'm 60 and I'm, you know, incapable of enjoying life to the fullest in the ways that I can right now. And similar to August, you know, rent is expensive. I don't really want to continue pushing money into someone else's mortgage. I also don't want to acquire that much debt on my own, so this makes a really great solution to all three of those kind of problems.
My name's Lo Hunter. I, never really dreamt I would want to live in a bus, but Joe was really stoked on it and had a dream to do it, and I was down for it. Now I'm stoked. I am really excited to not pay rent and have, money going towards something that we aren't investing.
That isn't yours, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm excited for the freedom and the lifestyle, just getting to travel.
Hello, my name's James Pitzenberger, and I roam home. I guess I knew what I wanted out of a vehicle, but I didn't know what kind of vehicle to buy, so I just built it. I mean, it's a multi-purpose vehicle that works for my business, and it's also a play vehicle. I can live my dirt bike in it and play, so I'm getting two vehicles for one, the way I see it. I don't live out of it. I could. I've lived out of it and worked before. But it's for people that are creative and don't have the money in their pocket to afford a Class C mobile home. And they have the wherewithal to take it upon themselves to create one.
Name's Ray Arbeck from here in Bozeman. I roam home as of 2 weeks from now because I'm done with the rat race. I'm done with working 7 days a week, 15-hour days. I've done this for the last 30 years of my life, and I finally hit a breaking point that I realized all the stuff that I'm working for is just stuff, accumulations that do not make me happy. Once I hit that breaking point, that stuff became fodder that I've been giving away, and everything I give away just continues to make me more free, and the bus has become part of that. We've been working on it for 74 days, and 2 weeks from now we'll be roaming home.
My name's Kyle Pemberton. We start roaming home tomorrow. So I'm a barber. My wife is a badass mom. We decided to roam home because we wanted to give back to the community, but not just our local community, the whole U.S. I have a skill that not a lot of people understand is a huge need in a lot of different communities all around the U.S. So I'm going to give free haircuts for 10 months. That's what we're shooting for. My wife is going to do hygiene packs and give back to the homeless, special needs, and veterans along the way. And we are completely living off of faith in humanity, honestly. We sold everything we had and bought the bus and built it out in 3 weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's why we're going to roam home.
I'm Chris Miller. I live in Livingston, Montana. And I like doing a lot of activities in the outdoors at different lakes and mountains and summer, fall, winter, everything. I don't live in my roam home, but it's been extremely valuable to be able to travel wherever I want and have a place that's like home, that I was able to build for incremental costs that I could afford. I bought the trailer, I bought the materials kind of separately, and that allowed me to not spend $15,000 on a trailer, but maybe $1,000 at a time. And I now have a very functional ride that is completely custom to my style, and I can take it wherever I want, and it works as well as to be expected.
My name's Graham from Auburn, California, and me and my wife are 32 days into our roaming home. So, we mainly did it as a way to simplify the allure of, I think, owning a house and taking care of a house and dealing with a house is, we realized, wasn't really what we wanted after we did it. So, just simplify, travel. I've traveled a lot of the world, but I haven't really traveled much of the United States. So it's a really feasible way to do that and to, meet people, find new community, reconnect with each other, not be, like he said, in the rat race as much, while still, doing some stuff to sustain. But yeah, it's a big simplification.
Thanks, Graham.
I'm Monique, and I'm also from Auburn, California now, originally New York. I just have to throw that in there. We started 32 days ago. Yeah, I think a big thing for me was the business we were in just consumed us, and we're workaholics, and we were married to our land, and we want to be married to each other, not our land, and keep just working to pay all these bills and have all this stuff, and you don't need all that stuff to be happy. I'm happier with way less stuff. We have sold almost everything we own. Except for a house that's still for sale if anyone wants it. No, just kidding. But that's why we roam home.
Thank you. I want to continue on why you started your projects and just kind of create a little conversation around that.
We started our project mainly because we had hit a spot in our lives where we finally had everything that we had ever hoped for. And whenever I say hoped for, I mean the cars, the house, the clothes, the money, it's like a rap song. It didn't make me any happier, to be honest. I realized we had all this stuff and we were consuming ourselves with stuff. And I don't remember who touched on the marriage thing, but yeah, same here. We're only a year into our marriage. It was our 1 year anniversary was August 18th. and we've both always loved to travel and see new places and new things. So I was like, you know what, why don't we just get rid of everything? And what's the worst thing that is going to happen? We have to go rebuy everything. We have to stop and work. Like, realistically, you can buy stuff, and stuff just gets outdated in 12 months now. So in a year, I'm sure there'll be way cooler stuff than I had last year.
That's exactly like almost to the T. Like, we had money and cars and this and this, like, and also being surrounded by people who are all caught in that. Like, that's like a really common thing. And like traveling to other countries and realizing that is not how people live. Like, people find happiness within inside themselves and like in nature, and you don't look for happiness outside yourself. And I just think it's way easier to remember that when you're not in, I don't know, that box with the rest of the world. It's nice to be surrounded by people that are like-minded, and it's uplifting, and it feels really good.
There's a simplification in your life. Having a house that's not tied to the earth makes you feel more free, gives you more options in life, and is a simplification of less property.
I started because I had access to free education in California, and I wanted to go take advantage of that. That was the most practical way to move there and use that. And now I'm excited because if I find a job I want anywhere in the country, it's just a snap and I can be there. I can go anywhere and do anything.
So I'm sensing a lot of like freedom seekers and maybe not wanting to be tied down to brick and mortar. Maybe the stresses of adding a lot of money and things to a relationship. It gives you a little more time to breathe and focus on that.
Add stress to the relationship. Yeah, you're always working for what you would, what the neighbors have, and not what you need, not what your partner needs.
And it's like you're not even aware of it. It just like happened all because like I was never like that. And
You're
then
brainwashed to be
I
like
was
that.
like, oh my gosh! It just like one day I woke up and I was like, what the hell happened?
Exactly. That's
Like I literally felt like I woke up.
Yeah, so you agree with it. What the hell happened?
I don't know what happened either.
Yeah.
It was
We
like
talked
a
about this.
switch turned on, and I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I made $400,000 last year, and I don't have any of that because I spend it on stuff. I help out people, yeah, but like I got audited and they wanted to know where everything went. I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm buying stuff to fill a void to make myself happy, and the more I buy, the more it makes me unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife's been getting rid of stuff on Facebook for $5.
Yeah.
Stuff that we paid hundreds of dollars for, we put on for $5, and people are messaging, "Are you serious?" Lines waiting, to buy this stuff, and I'm like, you can have all the stuff you want.
Mm-hmm.
Just come take it. I'm so done with stuff.
I guess you'd call it a realization, right? You realize what was making you happy and what wasn't.
Well, that's what she said. It's like my eyes open, and I'm seeing things for the first time that I've never even thought to think. I started talking to my wife about it, and I'm like, I'm selling stuff that was like, this is mine. I created this. I worked my whole life for this, and I'm like, just take it. I don't care. I do not care about it anymore. And then one day I had to stop and think because my girls were kind of upset because I was like, we're getting rid of everything. So I did get a little storage 5x10 or 5x7 storage unit. I gave them a bunch of little totes that they can keep their sentimental stuff because I don't want to be that guy that takes all my kids, rips it from their life. So I'm like, yeah, we'll keep it here, and you guys can decide in a couple of years if you want it. If not, I paid for a whole year on the storage unit, and in a year we can revisit that and see what they want to keep. But that awakening was it was amazing. And once I hit that point, it's pretty emotional right now, but once I hit that point, all of that stuff didn't mean anything anymore. And the freedom that came was just amazing. I got the plates for this on Monday, and I cried when I got the plates because it was real. Now it's real. I am free. I can go do what I want to do, and I can take my family and my kids, and we can live together, and we can enjoy each other. I'm not an absentee dad just working all the time because I think that's what my kids want. They want all this stuff that I didn't have when I was a kid. Now I'm going to be the dad that's with them and showing them and being there and teaching. This is why this is like this, and this is why this is like this. That's why we're doing what we're doing. That awakening, that hit.
Let's specify the difference. I mean, we're all saying that it was inspired kind of like a lifestyle choice. Are you doing it because you have to, or are you doing it because you want to?
I remember Aaron and I, my partner back there, before we were together years ago, I wanted to buy the bus, and she wanted to buy the bus, and it was kind of a like, I'm gonna buy it first. I'm gonna buy it.
It was a competition between the two of you.
We didn't do
before you were together.
Yeah, we didn't do it, and then we got together, and then after maybe just under a year, she was living in an apartment. My folks are still in town, and I was living with them, helping them out. And Aaron goes, "Do you want to buy the bus?" And I was like, "What? No. Well, maybe."
Did the bus kind of tie you two together?
No, we were pretty tied. We actually had Rebel a dog at that point, so that was a pretty bonding element, and we were pretty solid. And all of a sudden the bus was like, well, I moved away for a couple of years to Germany, and when I came back, I lived with my folks again, so I really hadn't lived in Bozeman in a different place in my house.
So you wanted to, you didn't have to.
I chose it. Okay. I chose it because it was like I wanted to make my own path. I was in a good place. I love my parents. I get along with them, but to start my own journey and go on that was what we wanted to do, and we already felt it separately. And once we got it, it was I think somebody mentioned simplification. It was pretty wild going through my stuff and being like, wow, I think I got rid of 4 boxes, big boxes of shit that I was like, man, I haven't worn or used this stuff in years or ever. Pinned down my life, and all of a sudden I still have room in a very small amount of space that's less. It's like just 200 square feet, and I still have room in my storage boxes. And you don't need much to live and be comfortable. And I think Aaron's got a good phrase that suffering is optional. So we live full time in a bus in Montana, and one of the hardest winters we've had in a long time. And suffering is optional.
I'm definitely doing it because I want to. I was like going to work really hard, and when I was 30, I always wanted to get a sailboat. That was like always my thing. To like do that, sell everything, leaving that. The bus is a way better sailboat in my opinion. I still really like boats, but also makes way more sense to be on land. And even to touch back to like getting rid of all the nostalgic stuff, like that was, I love that part of it. I had a huge music studio. I've been collecting vintage music gear and stuff for years, and it was no issue for me to sell it all. Okay, I'll take that back. I do have 2 pieces of gear that are really choice that I did keep and put in a friend's studio. But other than that, I loved getting rid of everything, and just the simplification of like not feeling like you have to use this stuff and having the freedom from that stuff, and even having the money back from that saved. And like a lot of like FIRE lifestyle stuff talks about it, like money representing life force. So you put your life force into creating that money so you can transfer it around too. And I think what you did with putting the stuff in a storage unit for a year is really interesting. I'd love to hear how that goes in a year, because I have a feeling everybody will look at that and be like, I don't even know what's in there.
Yeah.
Because that stuff doesn't really, the nostalgic stuff, I don't think it matters as much. Like those experiences are in you, not like represented in the thing.
And I wanted to give them that option. I didn't want to be
it's
like
a great
tyrant.
learning experience.
Exactly.
Because
Ray, I want to talk to you. So your family, are they doing it because they want to or because they have to?
I thought they were going to think I was nuts. When I hit that awakening point, I knew I had to internally, and I wasn't sure how to convey that to my family. So I brought it up to my wife. I said, so what would you think if we sold everything and bought a bus and turned it into a tiny home and moved into it and lived in it? And she's like, oh, I think that'd be awesome.
How big was your house before?
We moved from an 1,800 square foot house to a 1,200 square foot mobile home out in Manhattan.
To a bus.
To a bus. And when I brought it up to my kids, my youngest daughter said, so we'll get to hang out with you during the day. You won't be gone. And it just, so they were totally excited. The day I brought the bus home, they were waiting with a sawzall, waiting to cut seats out. They wanted to leave like right then and there. Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anyone who had to?
Probably could have looked for other options, but it was definitely practical for me. Now I wouldn't go back. Now that I'm in the van, I love it. and I've seen the light, but I was a slow convert to van life.
Okay, so you had to do it, and with that learning while getting into it, you fell in love with it.
Yeah, it's just such a convenient way to live, and I don't worry about any of my stuff. I have a huge fan. I have more stuff in there than I need to anyway. Yeah, I mean, I had a couple friends over the last 8 years that had bought vans and kind of dabbled with the idea of moving into it for a little while, and it seemed fun for road trips, but not much beyond that. And I had a girlfriend a couple years ago that moved into her Sprinter van, and I helped her build it. And that was the point where I kind of was like, this is acceptable. But I also realized all the things I hated about living in a van, and I built mine to fix all those problems.
All the things you hated about living in a van, you built yours kind of customized to your lifestyle.
Yeah.
That would suit you.
Just like places for everything so it can stay tidy, all the amenities that I need that didn't exist previously. And now I feel like I've got everything that I loved about having a house. I'm not tied to a house.
Yeah.
I mean, since I turned 18, I've moved every single year anyway. And every year my lease is up, I move to a new room or house or apartment or whatever, and I throw away half the stuff that I accumulated in the last year anyway. It's all garbage. So I've been like doing a regular purge for such a long time that I know most of what I own is garbage. I'm tired of moving it.
Seems like a general consensus with stuff. Yeah, stuff.
I struggle with that. I love art, as you can probably tell in Blunderbuss. It's like everywhere.
I'm going to move into my CRV on Tuesday morning. I'm going to start. Nice. And I want to be on the road, and I want to be able to explore and then see, because I'm from New York City and I'm moving back there, and I thought what better way than to like take the super long way and just like see all the things and meet all the people and do the art everywhere. I do a lot of chalkboard art. So my friend Amawuni asked me earlier, would you move into a van? Like, is this just your starter and then you're planning to like go bigger or do something else? Or what was your thought behind the CRV? But for me, it was like, well, it's great gas mileage and it's just big enough. It's not that tiny to do what I need to do and to, road trip. But definitely did not have funds for a van, or I know like you don't have to know all the carpentry and stuff to get into doing it all, but it was just way too much for my brain. It's like, it's a lot of learning.
How long will you be living in it?
At least 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. But when I get to New York, there's some work for me in April, so April 2020 I should be there. And then after like 2 or 3 weeks of being there and doing some work, I'm gonna like reassess and see how my car Pearl is doing and see how I'm doing. And if everything is still gravy, then I wouldn't mind like continuing, just keep going for a while. But I don't really have like an end point.
How do you all pay for a lifestyle on the road?
I mean, I'm full-time at the steel shop I work at, so we have a plot of land that we're parked on, and some generous people are kind enough that they've experienced what we're going through. They're older and wiser and smarter, and pretty much kind of, maybe saw a younger version of themselves in us, and they were inspired to help us. And so Bozeman's a very difficult town to live in a bus or a tiny home or whatever that may be, and they've been kind enough to help us out. And you can't really.
So do you pay rent?
We do.
A little bit of rent to park it.
We help them out. And it's a what would you say, symbiotic relationship.
Who else? How do you sustain your life, Chris?
Again, I don't live in my camper. It's a teardrop, but I'm self-employed and I have been for a long time, and that's part of why I wanted it. But that allows me to be very flexible in working. And I can, in theory, I can work on the road when I need to.
So you pick up work while you're on the road when you need it?
Yeah, the hard part is getting checks in the mail.
My grandpa passed away, and he called me the day before we got the bus. And he was like, I believe in everything you've ever done. You're the most ballsy person I've ever met. Go out and chase your dreams, buddy. And those are the last words my grandpa said to me.
Aww.
Yeah, and he died the next day.
The people who stay put maybe have a job that you work at, but the roamers, how do you sustain that? Is it because you have your own job?
Yeah, I'm self-employed. Right now, I'm giving my business to a buddy of mine, and I've been in business here for 15 years, and I know people all over the country. So I can work for a month somewhere, work for a week somewhere else. I'll dig ditches. I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna make it.
So whatever it takes to maintain.
Exactly. Whatever it takes. Yeah. If I got to flip burgers for 2 weeks at Burger King, I really don't care. Yeah.
So Joe and Lo, what do you two think about, you're both kind of entrepreneurs. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I mean, we're both entrepreneurs, like you said, both freelancers. So we're planning on I'm a photographer, filmmaker. I'm planning on just getting on the road and finding work as it goes, like making whatever happen that needs to happen.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting being a part of a growing beverage brand here. Like, we have national aspirations, and so I think my pie in the sky dream is that as we achieve national distribution, we also finish the bus and we can travel, and I can sort of be a traveling rep for the brand and kind of do some of that work while we move around and use that as a kind of a steady income, with a background in creative enterprises, photography and filmmaking and graphic design. I feel like, I can kind of find work anywhere like you, if the conditions are right. So, but I don't know, obviously we're not there yet, so we'll find out.
Since that awakening, it's like the universe will take care of us if we take care of it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I'm going to I've been freelancing since January, pretty much mostly just doing my art. I did some gardening for the last couple of months here in Bozeman, which was fun. But as I go on the road, I'm definitely going to just keep doing what I did here in Bozeman and what I do in New York and knock on people's doors. I usually target small businesses and any chalkboards, any window paintings, the holidays, like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that stuff's going to be happening. And I'll definitely be going through a lot of big cities. So I'll be grabbing and snatching up jobs wherever they happen. And even if they want to trade a small chalkboard for like a meal, whatever I need that day. And then I want to document my travels and the different jobs I do and do like a YouTube channel. So I've kind of started that in January. That stuff takes a while, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, a lot of our contacts for Roam Home is on Instagram.
You can, the roamers just know where each other are. Everybody's following each other's Instagram and lets us track each other down.
I think it being picture-based versus like I hate Facebook because it's just like word-based, which is just like inflammatory with a political climate.
Yeah.
Instagram's like a safe haven almost.
Oh, okay, cool. So there's a trend going to just like a visual
It's kind of like an
presentation.
art museum.
I think as a kid, I always liked picture books more than like actual books. So Instagram just like naturally makes me feel better.
What is your parking strategy?
Google Earth. That's like our go-to, especially because we're almost 42 feet long, and then we have a car now we're towing behind too. So our total length is like close to 62 feet. Buses are really maneuverable. So using Google Earth to really map out like where you're going, where you're going to turn around. And then for camping too, there's a couple different apps. Like I use reference points, like, okay, a bus is this big and it's going to fit in here. And sometimes we get there and it's not like that at all. But
one thing that's been super helpful is Free Roam app has these overlays for national forest. So
BLM.
you like overlay that and you're like, okay, these are national forests. You take that off, you put the satellite on, and then you're like, okay, here's the Forest Service roads. Pick them out.
It's first a map, like a topo map or something, and then you do the overlay of Google Earth to see trees and stuff.
I do the overlay of where national forest and BLM is.
Okay.
And then after that, I do the satellite overlay so I know where the national forest is. Because then you have better chances for Forest Service roads, which Montana, really difficult. Idaho, not so difficult. Nevada, not so difficult. California.
So you're overlaying them on the app.
Yes.
How about parking strategy in a town?
Anywhere it fits.
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, there's plenty of places where it fits, but do people living in it, you obviously maybe sometimes overstay your welcome if a place seems comfortable.
I've never personally done that. I use my car as a daily driver as well. I never stay more than a couple of days. I've been in like San Francisco and downtown San Francisco and slept. And you can really only stay there one day at a time, but nobody's bothered me at all. And downtown Bozeman, the signs say 2 to 7, but nobody's knocked on the window yet. Supposedly you can't park overnight, at least a couple days a week, but
Bozeman has a really weird regulation where you're supposed to move your vehicle every 48 hours. Every vehicle in town is supposed to move every 48 hours, which is hilarious. And it's been around for a long time.
You can move one full spot and they count it.
Yeah, and so we had our bus parked outside my house where I grew up. And I mean, it was parked there for at least 2 or 3 weeks for one time. And like my old Subaru got a ticket for being parked more than 48 hours, and that was really funny. They were like pretty close to each other. So I mean, it just depends on where you park.
There's a few of you in relationships. What is it like in a relationship to collaborate on a project like yours?
It's a really great communication exercise.
We had to have the talk that every single job that you do on the bus is important and is equally important as everything else on the bus. Because there was a lot of like, I suck at painting. My wife is awesome at painting. She's gone, so I can say this. And she was like, I'm so done with painting. And I was like, you don't want me to paint? Like, our bus will look like garbage. So she just painted and she toughed it out. But that's why our bus looks so good. So give her a pat on the back. Yeah, I think communication, definitely.
Yeah.
We had a really hard time with communication. Because I had the money in my head and I was just like swipe, 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 and I never told her anything I bought. And I was like, all right, we hit our budget. And she was like, what? And I was like, oh, I suck at communicating money.
So you kind of pool the money and then
we just like
you like spend it all and you're like, oh,
yeah. And she was like, well, just go buy the stuff because I don't know what to buy. And I was like, well, you usually like control how much we spend on stuff. So I was just like, whatever, I know how much I can spend, and never told her anything. And then she went to buy some stuff, and I was like, no. But it was okay. It's all good.
We've been married for 24 years, so my wife can read me like a book. So she knows what I need. I know what she needs. So it's, there are some days I get in my moods and I don't talk. She understands, and the kids know. But the communication's big, especially with the kids because they don't understand. My wife knows what's going on. She knows what's going on up here sometimes more than I do. We've always been working together. We built an off-grid cabin up in Radersburg. We lived up there 3.5 years, so we've been through kind of like this before.
I think it's been kind of fun to push each other outside of our comfort zones in certain ways. For instance, Lo doesn't have a lot of experience like building things or like with power tools, so it's fun to like put an angle grinder in her hand and be like, all right, I'm gonna cut and then you're gonna clean all the cuts and then we're gonna weld them in, like putting a welder
Learning how to weld
in her
was
hand.
so cool.
Yeah, it was like really fun, and it's an exercise for me because I'm a control freak, but I realize like I actually can't do it all because then it would never be done. So like we have to share the workload, and she has to become more comfortable with some of this stuff, and she's done so awesome, and it's been really fun to watch her like grow into that role. It's been really
cool.
fun.
What's the second most to communication?
Honesty. I think like being blunt. I'm a very open, honest book. And if I like skate around the edges and get to my point, it takes 20 minutes. Whereas if I'm just like, this needs to be done this way, and now, then it gets done that way. We're all happy.
So being honest with yourself?
Yeah, honest with yourself, and like if you can do it, do it. If not, then ask. I love learning, so I built a whole bus and didn't know anything about building a bus.
I think trust too in that respect. Yeah. She'll ask me from time to time, like, so how do you even know what to do? Like, how do you know that this is the next thing that we're supposed to even do? And I'm like, well, I watched this video on YouTube. This guy did it before. It looked like it worked out for him.
Trust YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube.
So communication, honesty, trust.
Yeah. Not being afraid to work hard.
Not being afraid to work hard.
It's like core values, right?
Being a minimalist in a tiny home, you don't have the tools to build what you have. What resource did you use to build it? Like a makerspace or like friend's house, or did you have a property?
We had a workshop because
Yeah.
we had a big property, and we had a woodworker friend, and he didn't have space for his tools in his zone, so we were like, bring it on over. So he helped us, and yeah, we were lucky enough to have a space to do all that.
So he brought his shop to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's awesome.
Shop. And then we also, from building houses and remodeling houses, we have a full set of tools.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in which we actually have a lot of on the bus, probably a ridiculous amount of tools, but we could build a bus out of our bus, I think, if I had to.
We used friends. I had a friend that's a carpenter. I told him our cause, what we were going to do, and he was like, I want to sponsor you. How can I do that? And I was like, teach me. I might just be hovering over you the whole time while you're building, but I want to learn. I want to know every single aspect of this whole entire bus.
Cool.
So I had everything from a welder to a mechanic to a house builder.
I just used the Bozeman Makerspace.
Nice.
Cool.
They were awesome. Lots of knowledgeable people there, and all the tools that I don't know names of.
So paying membership to a makerspace, utilizing friends and their resources and their knowledge.
Given that we're not there yet, we obviously have time to change our mind, right? Not that we're going to, but what would you say to somebody who might end up listening to this or somebody that's watching to dissuade them from going this route?
It's not all kittens and rainbows. Well, I mean, it depends on where you live, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to choose to live in Montana, it is not an easy place to. I don't know anybody else that lives in a bus full time in Montana.
You guys are
besides
hardcore.
ourselves. And
I would need a full down suit.
Like we have a lot of friends that are like, "Oh my God, I wish we lived in a bus. It was so awesome. That's our dream." And I'm like,
you don't understand.
If you live in a bus through, I mean, we had -45 for 3 weeks sustained. So you live in that, and your entire bus freezes from front to back, top to bottom. And so there's a lot of things people don't foresee or see the side of. Like the Instagram is the pretty side of it. And I've seen a lot of posts recently that people trying to expose their truths of the not so pretty side.
Here we are snowed in. Here's 4 feet of snow outside our door that we can't open.
Oh yeah, we got to dig down into our door. Oh yeah, we didn't get power. If you left in the morning and took the snow rake and got the solar panels cleaned off, you're like yes, and then all of a sudden you're driving to work and it's snowing. You're like, damn, we're not getting power for the whole day.
I don't think you could convince them not to do it if they wanted to. I mean, there's lots of good reasons to do it, and you find out a lot about yourself by doing it.
There's still work days. There's still stuff you got to do. There's still maintenance stuff you need to do. There's still work. I mean, we spent pretty much a full day, couple days ago, putting a hitch on a car so we could tow it. And so there's still work.
You just have to be willing to make mistakes because you're going to make a bunch of them. If you don't know everything there is to know about bus, whether you're an electrician or mechanic or whatever. You get to make the mistakes and you have to own up to your mistakes, and that's something not everybody can do. You go out into this world, you take this small bundle of your stuff, the part that you can fit in your truck and you don't need a roof to cover up. So you take that bundle of stuff out into the world, and you learn what you can live without. It's a great training for just figuring out, I brought all this stuff. I got a bad habit of taking way more stuff than I need to. I mean, I like to try and lighten as much as I can, but it's just great training for that. You learn what you can do without.
So what advice would you give to yourself if you could go back to the beginning?
I think choosing, just like building a house, it's all about the foundation. So choosing the right bus to start with. I definitely kind of regret not really searching out and finding the exact engine and transmission and chassis that we wanted. We got pretty close. It works. But I think really taking your time and finding the perfect starting point is going to be the best thing.
So the perfect foundation to start from. Okay. Chris?
I would say do not underestimate the intelligence of water and its ability to go wherever it wants to go. If you have a choice between rock solid waterproofness and a little bit of creativity, go with the waterproofness.
Great. That's good advice.
If I could go back, I would say just to slow down. I think we just were go so much that we just exhausted ourselves, and at the end of the day, the emotions were from exhaustion, not from anything else. And we probably could have accomplished a lot more if we would have just stopped after 8 hours of work instead of 16 hours of work and got an 8 hours night's rest.
Just believe in myself and my family because they were behind me the whole time, and I struggled with even bringing it up to them. Just open up and just trust that they love me and they're behind everything that I do. So I struggle with that a lot.
I knew it was going to take a long time. I didn't think it was going to be 5 years to get the thing done. I probably wouldn't have bought a workhorse because they're just a pain in the butt to get parts for. And I really wasn't sure I was going to like the thing when I bought it. I thought, well, maybe I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll like this thing if I get it built the way I want it in a year or two. And after 5 years, I think I like it, but it's taken 5 years and it's been a lot of work. It's just, you can't be afraid of the work. You gotta, because that's what it takes to get it done. And you can't be in a hurry about it, but you have to make a good pace.
Well, it's still kind of early. I'm still processing what is happening right now. The last few days have been a lot of getting rid of a bunch of stuff, and I'm struggling really hard with that. Because when I moved from New York City, I moved with a bunch of my stuff too, and now these are things that have been with me for such a long time. And I guess maybe measuring things would be a good idea.
You mean eyeballing doesn't work?
I measure like the really important stuff, like the platform bed, like where my body is going to go, and I have a friend joining me at some parts of it, so that's like the right size.
I guess just to be more patient with the process, because everything is custom. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. Be more patient with myself, because I'm learning everything to do with the bus is new, and I'm not the best at it, which is hard for me to not be good at something.
Patience.
So patience.
Sure.
And patience with Joe, too.
How about you, Joe? Advice you'd give yourself?
If I had to give myself any advice, it would be to quit spending money on stupid stuff a lot longer ago than I did.
What stupid stuff?
Quit drinking, quit eating out, quit, just spending on frivolous things that I could be like investing into the project, because it's not particularly cheap, and we're just kind of doing it as we earn money and kind of trying to put that away into it, and trying to do as little on credit as we can, but some of it has to be done, the bigger purchases, so it's like just save my money, I guess, be more responsible financially so that I can invest more into the project and make it happen more quickly.
Investing in your foundation sounds like a really good idea. I've regretted buying a rusty old Sprinter and not a brand new one. It's got like 350,000 miles on it, and it runs great, and I'm trusting that it'll go to 500, but if I ever want to sell it or anything, I'm not sure it has that much value to anyone else. They're not going to trust it. Also, measuring is good. Just I don't know what that Sprinter went through in the last 15 years, but it's not symmetrical on both sides. So you need 6 legs for a frame. Don't assume they're all the same.
Nothing is symmetrical. Totally.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Fans, like exhaust fans, like in the Sprinters, they have those fans in the ceiling. Amazing. We didn't think of that. And having 2 dogs, like if it was just us, whatever, but having dogs and being like, oh, we might have to leave you in there for a little while, and good luck with that.
I think Chris really hit the nail on the head with the water. That for me was our largest enemy this winter was moisture.
Functionality over artistic. Economical alternatives to ballooning mortgages and rental rates are increasingly defining the lives and lifestyles of Americans across generations, races, and regions. Parents are welcoming grown children, their spouses and children, back to the family home to share expenses. Tiny home communities are surging across the country. Groups of friends are banding together, pooling resources and responsibilities to purchase homes, ensuring shelter, options, and opportunity for all. And modern-day vagabonds, like these diverse, visionary Rome homers, are checking out of the rat race, simplifying their lives and freeing themselves from the trappings and traps of modern America in a brave new world.
A huge shout out to Dean Zesty Booch, Low Hunter, Loken Productions, Mountains Walking Brewery, Explore Games, Salient Technologies, Red Tractor Pizza, and DOG.
A shout out to our editors and media team, Pat Loken, Jessup Sandoval, Allison Gregory, Shannon Hughes, Jessica Byerly, Jacob Desch, Nathaniel Johns, and Nicholas Hill. Do you have an issue that's riddled by gridlock in your community? We want to hear from you. Shoot me a message at tate@iaminterchange.org. That's tate@iaminterchange.org. Until next time, share airtime and don't ruin dinner.